artificial intelligence gitu ya. Sama dia yang ngantuk sangat tu ya, minta maaf, mungkin kawan kena tegur-tegur sekejap lah ya. Kau makan buat tidur ya. Aku tengok kau aja yang ngantuk jadi. Tengok okay, next slide. Next slide. Okay, yang ni kita tengok tadi. Yang ni pun so kita ada semua ni. So when I'm talking about emotional intelligence, it's actually the heart. Next slide. Ini tadi tu, ya, we know that it is the love, belonging and esteem. That is where the emotions are. Next slide. Klik aja. Okay. Howard Gardner is a professor from Harvard. Ya, siapa pernah dengar nama dia? Tak pernah kan? Memanglah kan, korang tak tahu baca buku apa. Ya. So Howard Gardner ni, ya, dia memang an educationist who proposed that human being ada more than there are multiple intelligence, and seorang tak perlu ada semua. Okay, one of the dia ada 9 mula-mula dia propose in 1983 was only 7, and then he came with the 8th one, and recently 5 years ago he came up with the 9th one. Dia kata orang ni ada yang word smart, pandai menulis, pandai ni, ada yang number smart, mengira tu cukup pandai. Unfortunately, in this system of education, we are just testing these two intelligence. Sedangkan ada orang yang body smart. Orang body smart dia boleh bersilat, boleh menari, ya, boleh main bola, okay, boleh skiing. They are very good with their body. Ya, ada orang memang tak boleh menari, keras. Ya, ada orang memang boleh menari. So they are very clever. Ada yang, ya, kita katakan picture smart. These are people who can draw. Yeah? These are people who are very good with their spatial ability. Ya, yang 2D tu boleh jadikan macam 3D. And they have very good that kind of me. Ada orang yang people smart. Ya, nak bergaul dengan orang senang saja. Ada yang self smart. Dia ni banyak ya, introspeksi, keluar filosofi gitu kan. Itu orang yang ya, self smart. Ada orang yang apa lagi, macam-macam lah ya. So ada 9, time not ni. Tapi apa yang dirangkumkan oleh Howard Gardner is that all those intelligence encompasses in this, ya, it encompass in this 4 intelligence secara umum. Physical intelligence, so you know how to use your body, you're aware of what your body needs. And then you have the IQ, which is actually math and verbal intelligence, ya. Ataupun EQ, is when you manage your relationship with others. Okay. Dan yang atas sekali, this the SQ, Dr. Hafizah sebut banyak kali, your connectedness tu dengan satu kuasa yang lebih tinggi, lebih agung bagi you. So it depends on how you interpret that. And inilah dia yang perlu ada. Dan kalau tengok Maslow hierarchy of need, you ada needs, but not enough to just have your needs, but you have to be clever in all those areas, right? Okay, next slide. Now, bila kata emotion, kata saya, bila you kata perasaanku, mana you letak tangan you? Mana dia hati? Hati liver? Mana tu? Sakitnya hati, mana you letak tangan? Cepat. Sakit hati. Oh, sakit hati. Marah ya. Sini. Hello, emotion bukan kat situ. Dia dekat sini. Sakit hati ya. Geram benda tu. Dia bukan kat sini. Well, you see, emotions are impulses, ya. Impulses to action, instant plan for handling life, ya. That evolution has installed. Bukan evolution dah sebenarnya, but we develop this, ya. Emotion banyak, anger, sadness, fear, macam-macam. Dan ada emotion yang composed of many more emotion. Jealousy. Jealousy. Kita tengok rasanya macam dia tu hari tu janji nak steady dengan you, tiba-tiba dia steady dengan orang lain. Contohnya, dia pun jealous. Kenapa you jealous? Dia ada mixture of anger, yang mungkin janji kamu, ya. Hari tu janji bulan bintang, ya, di bawah pohon bambu semua. Tengok-tengok, marah kita. Dia mungkin janji. Sadness, you takut kehilangan dia tu. Nanti dia tak peduli dah kat you, so you sad. And then fear. Fear macam mana ni, tak ada orang sayang dah lepas ni. So all those mixture becoming jealousy. Okay, next slide. Emotion tu is actually a window to your thoughts. Siapa yang ngantuk, bangun dulu, tengok slide ni, lepas tu boleh tidur balik. Because this is the message yang paling penting. That is always my style of presentation. I will tell you mana slide yang paling penting. Betul, yang lain tu kau nak tidur tak apa. Okay. Now, why do I say emotion is the window to your thought? Dulu orang emotion ni orang tak pakai sangat lah. Dia kata this is this is very mushi lah. Tak ada, tak boleh pegang, tak boleh ukur, but the brain, there's this is a cognition. So selalu orang kata, particularly the neuroscientists, they always put emotion at the back, but not no more. Now no more. Sebab dia dapati bahawa emotion is actually an indicator of what your thinking process. I do not know how you feel now. Ada yang mungkin rasa boring gila. Sebab apa? Dia fikir ni semua crap lah. Tak ada satu boleh pakai, dia cakap ni. So you rasa boring. You rasa gembira, banyaknya benda yang ini semua bagusnya untuk aku, sampai nak muntah dah ni. So you pun rasa gembira, ataupun you rasa sedih. Alah, apa yang cerita semua aku tak ada, critical thinking tak ada, so you rasa sedih kan. So it is actually reflecting your thoughts. To me, this is very very liberating and eye-opening pada saya bila saya baca tentang ni. So now it's very easy to know what you are thinking by just knowing your emotion. So okay, klik lagi with thoughts. It gives rise to emotions. If you have a positive thoughts, klik lagi, it will give rise to positive emotion. But if you are having negative thoughts, it will give rise to negative emotion. Bad thoughts, negative emotion. Syaratnya you are normal lah, congruency, ada kaitan. Kalau dalam emotion tu banyak positif, suddenly emosi yang keluar bad emotion, atau sebaliknya, itu kau kena jumpa psychiatrist. Itu dah tak betul lah tu. Saya sedih ni tapi nak gelak kan, cerita ni. Okay, so as long as you're normal macam ni. So this is to me very very important. Sebab kat sini biasalah kan, tiba-tiba you rasa suka, you rasa sedih, and then a person who is clever will identify this emotion. Okay, next slide. Ini dia. An emotional intelligence tu is being defined as your ability, keupayaan you to perceive emotion. Sebab ada orang, dia tak ada perasaan. Marah ke? Tak adalah. Sedih? Tak juga. So apa perasaan anda? So-so je. Gembira ya? Taklah. Dia tak boleh describe. And kita orang Melayu, kita punya descriptive of feeling, not just the Malay, the East community, we do not have much vocabulary for feelings. Mak Saleh lebih happy je tu, I'm excited, I'm thrilled, I'm macam lah elated, banyak. Sedih pun, benci pun banyak. I hate you, I resent you, I despise you. Macam lah. Tapi orang bahasa Melayu ataupun yang ikut kajian tu, kita di sebelah timur tu kurang sikit, because kita suppress emotion kita. We are not encouraged to actually express our emotion. Jadi cuma tengok cerita Spain ke, atau yang tangan kaki semua keluar tu, they are very expressive. Yang macam tu lebih kurang. Okay, orang kita kena marah macam agak selamba je. Marah ke? Tak. So emotional intelligence is not about stifling your emotion. Nanti saya akan beritahu. It's not about menyembunyikan emosi you. Bukan. Itu lagi tak clever. Tapi you boleh guna emosi tu. How? Tengok. Okay. So not just perceive, but bila you tahu emosi tu, you tahu dari mana datang dia, and you are going to understand that emotion, and you're going to use it and manage the emotion for your own good. Maknanya, if you are emotionally clever, you are not always under the control of your emotion. I tak ada mood lah hari ni. Tak ada mood. Ya? Kenapa? You lah buat I tak ada mood. Nampaknya muka you langsung hilang mood I. Orang yang clever emotionnya, intelligent emotionnya, dia akan memulakan perkataan dengan saya. Sebab they own the emotion. Saya marah ni, saya rasa kecewa, I am disappointed. Orang yang tak clever, dia akan sentiasa menggunakan you dulu. Awak ni tak habis-habis menyusahkan hidup saya. Awak ni menyakitkan hati saya. Awak ni mendera perasaan awak. Orang yang awak ni menyusahkan saya atau awak ni menyakitkan hati saya, the right sentence would be saya membenarkan apa yang awak buat untuk menyakitkan hati saya. Panjang lah kan. Tapi itulah dia ni. So when you understand this, kunci pintu tu nak buka luas mana ke, you nak tutup pintu tu, you punya pasal. It's in your hand. Okay? So sebelum ni you buat apa? You rasa macam always overwhelmed, Orang ni sakitkan hati, orang tu kecilkan hati, orang tu sampai sehari tu rasa macam perasaan ni. Sebabnya you are always under the control of others. You are not clever sebenarnya tu, Okay, next slide. Now, EQ ni very important sebab dia kan sebenarnya mengukur kejayaan kita. Dr. Hafizah tadi kata kalau you ada goal, you memang boleh lebih berjaya. Bukan itu saja, orang yang EQ dia lebih tinggi, they are more successful in their life. Tapi EQ ni dia berkadar songsang dengan IQ. Okay, some of you are very clever IQ wise, tapi EQ nya rendah. Okay, nanti kita tengok macam mana. Next slide. These are the 4 areas. Siapa tidur bangun? Tengok lompat ni. First, you kena identify your emotion. Secondly, you understand that emotion. Then you use the emotion and you manage the emotion. Apa cerita tu? Next slide. Next slide, we. Okay. Kalau kita tengok, identify emotion ni maksud dia apa? You are able to recognize how you feel and not just how you feel. A clever person, emotional wise, akan faham juga how others are feeling. So orang yang EQ dia tinggi ni, dia very sensitive to other people punya emotion. Ada antara kita ni sensitif orang punya emotion je, dia punya dia tak pasal pula. So tak boleh juga macam tu. Dia emosi dia faham, orang lain pun dia faham. Dia akan bertanya soalan ni, how do I feel? How do I feel now? Numb. Bukan numb. You kena describe your emotion and how does the other person feel. You bercakap ni, aku mula rasa tak sedap pula ni. Orang sana pun rasa tak sedap dah. You dah tahu dah. Dah identify the emotion. Next thing, what are you going to do with that emotion? Next slide. You understand the emotion, which is ability to understand the complexity of the emotion or the emotion change. Satu emotion akan datang emotion B, emotion B datang C. Dia boleh faham ke mana datang ni, dari mana. So the question would be, why do I feel this way? Kenapa aku rasa macam ni? Contohlah you kalau jumpa that person, hati rasa berdebar-debar, tachycardia, pupil dilated, so you have increase heart rate, betul lah, respiratory rate pun increase kan. Then you wonder whether how is that person, that person ada tak emotion dengan you? Why am I having all this emotion? Oh, inilah yang namanya cinta, contohnya. Yang itu tahulah, faham. Aku tak boleh bagi example lain dengan korang, So why do I feel this way? Why does the other person feel this way juga? And how will we feel? The word is we kat situ. Next slide. Using the emotion. Lepas you dah kenal, you understand, you identify, you understand, then you use the emotion. Okay. Why? Using the emotion means you generate another emotion. Generate an emotion and then reason with this emotion. Yeah? Is this mood useful or not? Is it helpful? Does it give more good than bad? Does it focus on our attention? Does it motivates me or is dampening my spirit? You kena tahu tu. Emotion tu, apa kesan dia kepada you? That is using the emotion. Next line. Then you manage the emotion. Emotion yang negatif ni datang daripada thoughts yang negatif. And you just need to flip aja. And for this, I guess, kalau you beruntung, kebetulan Pramuhaya datang around this Europe, kan tangkap dia. Because Pramuhaya, Cik Muhaya Muhammad, my senior, my teacher juga, dia memang an expert in this flipping of thoughts ni. So you kata, positive thinking. It's more than positive thinking. It is looking ahead with no barrier and obstacle. Tapi bukanlah tak sedar diri, sedar, tapi you rasa macam, yes, I think insyaAllah I can do this. Kalau tak boleh pun, tak apa, I would have known what to do. Macam tu. Ni sekarang ni, takut lah, nanti macam mana kan, Orang yang emotionally clever ni very easy. Kena marah nanti masa jadi houseman. Kat sini how it happens. Kena marah. Dia kata, kenapa yang dia marah sangat air ni? Okay. Rupanya dia dapati you memang tak tahu buat benda tu. How am I going to respond to this anger? Marah dia balik? Cheese, berani prof ke doktor ke marah saya macam tu. Ataupun sedih, aku tak pernah semua hidup ni orang marah ai. Mana pernah balik telefon mak nak marah macam mana ni. Apa tu semua tak emotionally clever. So you must understand sometimes, almost all the time, bila kita marah, kita bukan marah you as individu tu. Kita marah apa yang you tak buat tu, atau apa kesilapan yang you buat tu. Now of course I hope and I wish and I pray everybody will actually tegur you cara yang you suka. You tersilap buat nama Muiz Muiz, ini bukan caranya membuat kesilapan. Apa kata okay, of course you like that kind of correction, but that's not going to happen every time lah. Now that is something you cannot control. How you respond to the way people is angry with you, that is within your control. Boleh? You tak boleh letak plakat kat sini, saya tidak boleh dimarah. Nak cakap dengan saya, nada mesti nada yang perlahan. Tak boleh. You don't put condition to people. You like people. Okay, aku bagi kau situation You ada seorang kawan you yang bagi tahu you kan kalau nak tegur I kena macam ni. Banyak benar songnya dia. You nak kawan ke dengan dia? Baik tak payahlah. You kalau nak tegur I, kena senyum dulu. Suka aku lah. Kan? Tapi you yang kena ada that ability to respond appropriately. I'm sure some of you are emotionally clever. You might, bila I explain ni, you know person. Siapa dia orang yang emotionally clever? Orang yang you paling suka kawan. You silap dengan dia pun you tahu dia takkannya mengamuk ke apa ke. Kalau dia buat silap pula, cepat dia minta maaf. These people, you love having them as your friend. You look around, siapa yang ramai kawan tu, dia memang emotionally clever. Siapa yang seorang-seorang aja, susah betul nak berkawan dengan dia. Itu kadang-kadang kurang bijak lah kot. Kurang. Tapi boleh diajar. Next slide. Now, remember this, managing your emotion doesn't mean you stifle your emotion. Marah ke? Tak, saya tak marah. Padahal tubuk-tubuk lah ni tak. You marah. Marah ke? Saya marah sikit. Tapi tak apa, I'm fine. Okay? Sebab marah ni dia letih amat meletihkan marah ni sebenarnya. You bawa kereta elok-elok, sadar dia orang potong you, break depan you. Orang pecut, marah You marah. Macam mana you nak kontrol ni? Tunjuk penumbuk gitu kan. Sedap, senang hati aku. Dia marah, orang tu marah juga, turun. Apa? Bergaduh-gaduh macam Dr. Hafizah cakap. Tu baling dia punya helmet kan. Buat hati kau. Buat hati apa? Lepas tu helmet hilang apa semua kan. Orang tengok, ya Allah, bodohnya perangai. So, bila dia dapat macam tu, jumpa kelang kabut ni, Alhamdulillah, tapi tak langgar kereta dia. Dia kata, aku semangat, Alhamdulillah. Agaknya tu, bini dia nak beranak kot dalam tu. So, tak apalah. So, cepat-cepat je. You know, ada hadis Rasulullah kan, you tahu kan, orang yang paling baik itu adalah orang yang lambat marahnya dan cepat minta maafnya kan. Cepat hilang maafnya. Ya? Dan orang yang paling tak elok, paling susah ni you nak handle would be orang yang cepat marah, cepat pula lah sejuk, lambat pula sejuk dia. Sikit-sikit marah. Tengok, ya, 20 hari masih marah lagi ya. Siapa nak kawan dengan orang macam tu? So that is emotional intelligence. Yeah, emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, because you are medical student, I kena bagi you ni. Ya? Emotional intelligence ni, dia memang ada kesan kepada graduate medical education. Kita dapati student yang lebih emotionally intelligence, they are usually having a better course in learning. Next slide. The scientific concept of emotional intelligence has the potential to deepen understanding of the competency yang distinguishing tadi tu, interpersonal and communication skill. Orang yang tinggi EQ dia, emotional intelligence dia, they are basically having better interpersonal and communication skill. Okay, next slide. Yang ni study daripada Hojat, dia kata empathy score, rasa empathy, itu dia part of the emotional index are associated with rating of clinical performance, competence cumanya dengan performance in objective exam tak. Tapi kalau misalnya clinical competence, dia relation. So some of you memang gila-gila pandai, tapi bila come to communication sebetul tak berapa baik. I have one student very clever, tapi kita dah bagi banyak kali cakap, stop using the medical jargon, use the layman term. So kita bagi OSCE, katakan you nak ambil consent daripada a woman who has uncontrolled gestational diabetes mellitus with fetal microsomia, and she is subjected for elective cesarean section tomorrow in fear of fetal distortion. Semua tu task dia kan. So dia pun masuk. Okay boy, you see, you have uncontrolled gestational diabetes mellitus, therefore you have fetal macrosomia, and because of that we have to subject you to elective cesarean section in fear of fetal distortion. Lepas tu dia tengok dia buat macam tu. Kepala otak benda ni. Lepas tu okay, I buat selama je, I just need the checklist tu. So bila dia bangun, dia keluar, this standardized patient atau actor, actress tu, we have trained them to give marks as well. Lepas tu kosong lah tu doktor. Memanglah dia orang ni faham kan, dia nurses ataupun lab technician, tapi apa, langsung tak ada description layman's term. So you think you are smart tapi sebenarnya tak emotionally clever. Okay, next slide. Dah tengokkan bahawa ini yang penting, empathy or emotional intelligence ni decline as you go into medical school. Hari tu masuk berkobar-kobar, saya mau menyelamatkan dunia. Masuk tahun 5, I only want to save myself. Dia turun. And this decline is happening all over the world. Kat medical school. Okay, ini antaranya. Next slide. Slide seterusnya. Okay, sampai ada tulisan, this was written by me, I met Dr. Cleveland masa di US is there hardening of the heart during medical school? Hati tu jadi keras. Kenapa dia cakap macam tu? Dia buat satu study, and this is their finding. Next slide. This is the mean score. Yang diukur hanya empathy. Adalah dia punya inventory, dia punya test. Dia dapati bahawa student, of course yang perempuan, skor dia tinggi lagi. You all lebih emosi kan? Kita lebih empathy lagi. Budak lelaki yang bawah dia. Tapi bila dia orang ikut 4 tahun, semua menurun. Baik budak lelaki, budak perempuan, yang nak buat clinical courses atau lepas belajar ni dia nak buat yang biomedical, semua ada penurunan. Tapi budak yang nak buat biomedical, dia punya empathy score lebih rendah daripada orang yang memang nak buat clinical courses. Ya, so bukanlah nak kata itu teruknya orang ni, tak lah. Maknanya you memang emosi tu kurang sikit kat situ kan, ya? Tapi orang yang memang nak tolong dari sudut clinical tu, they are most probably having a little bit more on that part. Next slide. Okay, MEQI, Malaysian Emotional Quotient Inventory. Kita dekat Malaysia ada kita punya own ukuran, ya? Dan ukuran ini develop oleh sekumpulan penyelidik di UKM. So we are using this to measure our student. Let me tell you the result. Next slide. Okay, ini domain dia. Bila you buat inventory tu, kita akan ukur you punya self-awareness, sama ada you are honest, you are confident, ya, ataupun you have accurate self-assessment. You tengok self-regulation, self-motivation, empathy, social skill, and dalam Malaysia punya inventory ada spirituality and maturity. Dekat US, dekat Europe, yang dua tu tak ada. They don't look into spirituality and maturity as an important social skill. Tapi kita masukkan, and kita test. Acceptable level for professional course is 80%. You kena dapat 80% semua tu, baru you dikatakan very emotionally clever to be a professional. Okay, next slide. Ini dia profession. Apa dia profession? It is actually a servitude. Itulah tadi, kalau nak kita serving people, so you have to have very high in terms of that. You nak deal dengan orang. Hey, you ingat kan, you nanti kerja kat hospital tu, orang datang ke hospital dia sebab dia apa? Sakit. Kau pernah nampak orang senyum masa dia sakit? Sonoknya doktor, saya sakit ni doktor, ada macam tu. Itu psychiatry buat ada lah. Semuanya mahal banyak. Masa dia tak sakit, that person is a wonderful person, a very nice person. But when they become sick, they change into somebody else. And that's where they're going to meet you in the hospital. So the hospital is full with miserable people. Kadang-kadang you senyum-senyum. Apa saya senyum doktor? Marah kita balik kan. Kan you kata, doktor, puan ni, saya senyum ni pun nasib baik, sebab dia memang tengah miserable. So kalau you pun miserable juga, habis lah. Okay? Itu yang I pelik tu. Kenapa you rasa patient marah-marah? Memanglah bila dia sakit dia marah-marah. Ya tak? So kalau you nak patient happy je, nak deal dengan orang happy je, you kerja bank. Bank orang kaya kan? Apa khabar encik? Sihat? Mana taknya nak masuk 50,000 kan? Senyum dia. You kalau nak jumpa orang happy je, you kerja jadi dekat bank. Ya? Tapi kalau nak kerja kat hospital, kena deal dengan orang yang sakit. Ya? Okay. Next lah. Professionalism ada 3 perkara yang saya sebutkan tadi. Self-reflection, self-regulation, self-correction. My student asked me, how do you define professionalism? The easiest way? Click on sini. Doing the right thing when nobody is watching. You nak periksa pakai tangan ke you nak periksa pakai kaki kau? Tengok prof tak ada, pakai kaki je lah. Macam tu. You know God is watching you. Pada saya orang yang takutkan Tuhan dia, takutkan Allah, kalau dalam konteks Muslim sebagai orang yang muttaqin, dia mesti profesional. Dia tak akan cheat, dia tak akan takut dia walaupun tak ada CCTV. So sometimes I kan rasa it's an irony lah. Pergi kat Malaysia sekarang ni, turun parking, basement parking ini diawasi oleh CCTV. I think that's redundant, because memang ada je God is watching you. Malaikat kat sebelah kiri kanan ni tunggu kan. Tapi bila manusia tak sedar ni, ada tak ada. Masa tu lah kita buat sesuatu yang tak elok. Okay, next lah. Ni I compare my student. 2007 dia year 1, 2009 dia year 3. Masa 2007 kita dapat student kita reach most of 80% ke atas. Nak ni tak boleh. Tapi Tapi self-awareness dia very low, 67. In fact, it is consistently low in all the groups of Malaysian. So they were arguing lah agaknya, this is too high a standard ke tak. Of course kita tak boleh turunkan standard tu for Malaysian, because that is actually the more or less a universal standard for example. But we Malaysian, Chinese, Malay, Indian, we fall short. Kita memang self-awareness tak berapa. And because of that, we are always emotionally not clever. Itu yang paling penting sebenarnya. Next slide. So bila kita tengok pakai cobweb ni, 67.14 ni, it's actually very low. Next slide. Ni masa dia orang tahun 1 tadi. Yang ni masa dia orang tahun 3. Kita dapat dia menguncuk. Everything drops. Tadi tu 67, sekarang ni jadi 65.3. Masa analyse tu, I was telling my colleague, who is in the social science faculty, I said, Angie, you don't be surprised if the 2009 results showing a shrinkage. Oh, cannot be lah, Prof. These are all medical students. I'm sure they are better. Well, we'll see. Sebabnya semua literature, journal dekat dalam dunia ni semua tunjukkan penguncupan. So I just pray agaknya tak lakut dia, Malaysia tak lakut. Tengok next slide. Dia kuncup. It actually mengecil. Next slide. Bila kita kata especially the self-awareness, apa tanda bila you tak aware to your own self-awareness tu, like the implicationnya, you are not aware of your own strength and weaknesses. You tak perasan you ada weaknesses. Dan you tak tahu pun you punya strength. Apalah ordinary sangat saya ni doktor. Itu tadi tu. You are not aware of your strength and also your weaknesses. When that happen, you are resistant to feedback by others. Kawan you kata, you ni kan sebenarnya bagus. Memang pun bagus. Tapi agaknya kalau you improve ni, tak. You silap. Macam tu yang silap orang lain. Bila you tak boleh terima feedback ni, you tak boleh nak regulate yourself ataupun nak correct your own mistake. And number one yang paling penting, orang yang tak ada self-awareness ni very difficult to change. Ni ada antara korang ni, dari pagi tadi aku bercakap sampai petang ni, kau kata okay, but I'm fine right? Apa yang nak tukar pula aku? Okay apa? Sebab kau kat sini when I have my student to write their reflection, do I have what it takes to be a medical student 1 year from now? We call it future reflection, kita panggil. Dia tak apa-apa dia tulisnya. Lepas tu mentor dia komen. Dia tak setuju mentor dia punya komen. Datang ke bilik I, Prof, I'm not like this. Dia kata I punya self-awareness pun mana pula? Kata betul lah tu. Kau datang kat aku tu sebab reflection sebab self-awareness kau apa lah tu. Confirm diagnosis. Ada pula dia kata saya punya self-awareness poor dia tu kan. Memang ya pun. Itulah dia, okay. Memang tak boleh change punya lah. You see why your father tak boleh change tak? Why your mother tak boleh change? Sebab kita semua memang ada very low self-awareness kita. Does that make us not so good people? Tak juga agaknya. But I would say this way, we will be a better person if we are more aware of ourselves. Kita amat terbuka dengan muhasabah orang. Orang nak bagi feedback, itu yang kita paling suka. Bukannya aku nak komen sikit boleh? Tak payah. I'm close for any comment. Ni je tu. Okay, next slide. So bila kita compare memang semuanya menurun. Next slide lagi. Tu dia menguncuk. And the same finding for the rest of the literature yang lain. We discuss ni, dekan air, kata jangan risaulah Prof. Yang lain pun macam tu juga. All over the world macam tu. Kenapa? Next slide. Lagi. Yang ni just dia punya ni. Lagi. These are the reason why you are becoming less emotionally clever. Pertama, the current medical education emphasis more on you being objective dan tidak sangat attend to your emotion. Ya. So apa ni nangis-nangis ni? Ya, jangan nangis-nangis. Jangan. Yang tadi tu, ya, yang din tadi. We are going to take away, drive away humanity out of you and make you into someone better. Ni dia. Ya. Greater emphasis on technology rather than on the humanistic aspect of medicine. Okay. Lack of role model and educational experience. You tak nampak orang-orang yang begini aware dan begini emotionally clever. Yang you nampak konsultan juga gaduh dengan patient juga. Dia pun sopa je, mana you nak belajar? Yang keempat, ni warning. Kita tak tahu kenapa bila kita sama-sama doktor tu, kita jadi macam an exclusive group kan. Kita cakap medical term aja. Kawan kita yang bukan doktor ni rasa terkeluar sikit. Pakai medical term aja. So this is the elitist punya culture. Increase student and resident number at a time of shrinking resources. So kita ada student yang ramai tapi resources kita sikit, so kita tidak banyak sangat competition. So you all dah tak kira dah yang benda-benda yang soft skill tadi tu. Banyak fokus on research, and now ada banyak managed care, increase litigation, sampai you wouldn't just ask a patient tu, takut nanti dia sue you. I give you a very good example. I was trained as a prenatal diagnosis di Singapore. Singapore ni teknologi dia very good, tapi the way they break bad news, my god. Tengok baby tu maybe ada banyak lagi fluid dekat dalam brain dia, so there might be some abnormality to the brain. The consultant will just say that to the patient and the husband, hey kawan, sorry I don't think this child is smart enough to bring his school bag to school, you know. Dia mana nak cakap there might be some abnormality to the brain, this child might not be so smart gitu kan. Tak ada cerita gitu. I don't think this child can actually bring his school bag to school. Maknanya macam budak ni very disabled lah maksud dia. Tapi that is not the way. But they are very highly advanced in the technology. They have all the machine by then. We all belum ada lagi tu 4D, 5D. Tapi cara dia tu. So what I did when I'm actually doing ultrasound examination, I will talk to patient. How are you today? And then the patient in Singapore ni will always say, doctor, you're not from here, right? No, I'm from Kuala Lumpur. You're a Malaysian? Yes, I am. I would have thought so. Our doctors, they do not talk to us. So I tanya dia, do you like your doctors to talk to you? Of course, dia kata. Okay, so we cicak. So masa I pergi coffee room, jumpa my friends, why you not talking to your patients? Halina, you don't talk so much to your patient. They are recording whatever you're saying, and they will sue you in court. Macam itu ke? So you don't talk lah tu. No, don't. Patutlah. So how can I work in an environment where I am suspicious of my patient and my patient is suspicious of me? Where is the trust? So I okay lah, tak ambil lah Singapore tu, but they are getting very technologically advanced but very morally backward in that sense. Okay, so of course more research is needed, and salah satu lagi kenapa your emotion is getting declining. Kalau I buat test sekarang ni, yang year 5 ni mungkin kurang lagi daripada yang year 1 ni. Tak tahulah, I tak buat research, so I cannot make a conclusion. Tapi antaranya adalah reality of life, which I think is a very good explanation juga. Masa year 1 tu kan, berkobar-kobar. Kenapa jadi doktor ni? Saya nak menolong manusia. Saya nak berjasa. Saya nak mak saya banyak sakit, Prof, kencemasan darah tinggi, ada pula stroke, so saya nak tolong mak saya. Kau tahu tak, bila you jadi doktor, you tak boleh tolong directly your mother or anybody next of kin. Bolehlah you tolong indirectly, maknanya bila mak you ada heart attack, you pergilah jumpa the best cardiologist, boleh. Tapi you tak boleh treat your mother. Faham kan? Because that is unethical. Sebab apa kita tak boleh treat kita punya own next of kin? Two reason. One, we are going to be either very very meticulous sampai over-treat, ataupun you cincai-cincai je lah, ya, sampai you under-treat. You tak boleh impartial. Banyak contoh, ya. I have a friend, ya, wife dia pregnant, dia jaga seorang. Kita dah beritahu dia dah, mana boleh kau jaga bini kau kan. Tak apa, biar aku palpit dia hari. Ya, biar palpit perut tu, biar aku yang buat tiap hari. Yelah kau lelaki kan, tapi tak boleh, you kena minta doktor lain yang jaga. So on the day of delivery tu, baby dia ada prolonged second stage, tak boleh keluar. Ya. And then because agaknya kalau anak orang lain dia masukkan je forceps ke vacuum, tapi sebab anak dia, dia kata, "Weh, tak maulah letak forceps. Push suruh si push." Akhirnya lahir, tetapi with hypoxia. Ya, baby dia dapat cerebral palsy. Faham tak maksud I ni? Ya, yang itu kita kira under treatment. Ya, sebab you rasa, wah, you boleh ni beranaknya macam tu. But if there is a different doctor, so that doctor yang tak ada kait mengait dengan this lady will have treated her according to the usual way. Faham? Now, I ada seorang lagi kawan ni, anak dia demam 3 hari. I'm sure Dr. Hafizah punya tu. Kalau anak demam, I give myself 2 days saja untuk I bagi ubat-ubat biasa tu, to doctor my children. My child. The younger they are, maybe not even 2 days. Tapi lepas ubat yang biasa ni masih demam lagi, I'll get the best pediatric colleague to see. I cannot treat my daughter or my children on my own. Sebabnya I learn from a lesson, from my senior. Anak dia demam, tapi dia tak adalah, sikit je lah. Mak dia kata, demam budak ni, ni lah tengok, tak apa dah bagi ubat dah. The next thing, budak tu in shock, because dengue hemorrhagic fever. The child died. Both of the parents are doctors. Imagine not, macam mana punya kesal itu. On the other hand, I have another friend, anak dia belum 3 tahun, tapi tak tahu dah berapa kali MRI kepala. Tak sikit je MRI, takut ada bleed. Faham tak? Anak saya terkantuk lagi, so MRI. Janganlah buat MRI tu, takut ada bleed kan, takut ada bleeding lah, subdural hematoma lah. Allah, yang itu overzealous pula lah. Faham? Ni you all nanti, guys, when you get married, your wife might be thinking she is the luckiest human being on earth. Can you please send her my regards, and kata, no, I beg to differ. They might be the unluckiest women. Sebab nanti kalau datang jumpa visit Dr. Ha bila pregnant, lambat datang. Kenapa lambat sangat ni? Dah 28 weeks baru datang. Tak apa bro, I palpate dia hari-hari. Palpate tu maknanya you monitor perut baby you tu tiap-tiap hari. Of course, as a wife, as a husband, you don't palpate the abdomen like I do. So you tak boleh kata I'm looking after my wife. Kalau misalnya your wife is delivering, get somebody else to deliver, bukan you. I have one push, a houseman, betul. Rupanya dia nak deliver wife dia. Nope, you stand aside. Sebab itulah tadi tu. Tapi I have actually encouraged juga a father to deliver anak dia when I'm there. I'm assessing the process semua. It's my care. Tapi masa nak lahir tu, okay, bapak datang ambil, boleh lah. Tapi bukan bapaknya yang jaga. Ada mengkonim ke tak mengkonim ke, nak letak apa, nak buat scissor ke tak scissor ke, tu bukan. You cannot make such big decision because of your unable to become impartial tu tadi, because of your connection tu tadi. Again, this has relation to emotional intelligence as well. Okay, so saya rasa itu saja dulu untuk petang ni. Mungkin kita boleh menjawab soalan-soalan ni, Dr. Hafizah. Dan ada soalan-soalan yang Dr. Hafizah nak jawab sikit, mungkin boleh.